It's pouring ice outside, guys. It's a snow day. Hey guys, what's up? I'm here with my Bazo. If you've been watching the channel, you've seen that I bought this old steel bike for $200 and kind of cleaned it up a little bit. Haven't really done anything with it lately, been pretty busy, but it's a snow day, so I have some time. Thing about buying this bike, the probably number one reason I bought it was that it has these, it's already set up as a time trial bike. So the best I can figure, a gentleman owned, got into triathlon in the 80s, I guess. At some point in time, he got into triathlon early 90s, and he actually like modified a few bikes to make them time trial bikes in a period where time trial bikes were really not existent. So what you did back then is you turned the seat post around, and if you could find a seat post that had enough adjustment, you could have it backwards, so that it, instead of set back, it had set forward. Now there's still seat posts like this. I think Redshift had come up with a seat post that had like a lever on it that could go forward and backwards to do a time trial position, which I don't think that really went anywhere. But anyway, and then you put some clip-on aero bars on it for that speedy time trial position. It's basically a time trial bike. But what's the problem with that position? Well, if your bike wasn't really designed for that kind of riding, for that kind of position, then you end up with a lot more weight on the front wheel. And a lot of weight on the front wheel means very, very twitchy riding. So I think this might work because this is a 58, and 58's a little big for me. I ride 58s. I rode 58s for a long time, but it's got a longer top tube, so it's already a little farther back than I'd like to be. So I don't think it's going to make as big a difference as, say, if it was a smaller bike and I was slammed forward. So the thing about like a bike like this is it's so old, it's so out of date, and it, you're like, how could you even be competitive on something like this? Well, I don't have to worry about that because I'm not going to be competitive anyway. But here's the thing, guys. Eddie Merckx rode almost 50 kilometers in an hour on an old steel frame, single speed, on a velodrome. I mean, this bike technology stuff, it's nowhere near as important. Francisco Moser beat his speed by a little bit, like 1 kilometer, by using disc wheels front and back, and that was like in the 80s. Okay, so I mean, like, and then Graham O'Brien built the Superman bike, or the crazy bikes where the handlebars were underneath him, the praying mantis style, and then out in front of him, and he was beating it by several kilometers with those more exaggerated riding positions. You could spend $5,000 on a super aerodynamic frame, or spend $100 on an aero skin suit and have the same. If you're not trying to set the world record or beat a bunch of people, then really this is going to get you 99% of the way there, just having a bike set up in the most aerodynamic position possible. What I want to see today is, can I get this bike on my trainer, and can I start riding the TT bike on the trainer? It won't fit because the dropouts are the wrong size. Dropouts were 126.5 instead of 130 back then. It's got an 8-speed derailleur, a 7-speed shifter, that's a 10-speed cassette, but it's friction. It's got a friction setting, so it should, I think theoretically, I should be able to get it to work and shift with the friction. We'll see. I think theoretically I should be able to stretch the frame out just by hand enough to get it on there. So let's find out if it works. If it works, I want to spend some time kind of working on a time trial position and seeing if I can actually set and ride in this position comfortably. Let's go. Look at that. I just barely had to pull those apart and it slid right on. Now let's see if it'll shift. I think the chain is too big for the smaller space, so we're going to have to switch this out, but that's no big deal. I've got smaller chains, and I know that you can run a smaller chain on bigger cogs pretty easy, so I can actually put on like a 10-speed chain and then use this on a 7-speed, the old 7-speed wheel. Hey, it works. I'd say most of you guys are like me, and when you're riding on Zwift, riding on the trainer, you don't really worry too much about your aerodynamic position. And because I've been doing most of my riding online for the last several years, I've noticed that every year at the beginning of my riding, as soon as I start trying to get low and get faster, I start doing some longer, lower, faster rides, I start having a lot of pain in this back, that whole muscle train up and down the back of my leg, hamstrings, back of my knees, they get really sore. And I think that's because those muscles, you know, like I'm doing a lot of hard riding sitting like this on the trainer. You know, I'm setting up and I'm not really getting, you know, the position I need. So then there's this like sort of malfunction where my body's strong, but not able to produce power right in that, you know, or not supple for that position. So I wanted to work on that a little bit. Plus, I just want to get better at the time trial position. So I can already tell I got to work on the position. I mean, I've just started riding this bike. It feels, setting up like this, the seat's way too far forward since the seat post is backward. But when I get down like this, it doesn't feel bad. But could I sit and ride like this for very long? It's already kind of making my legs sore, and the seat's a little too low, so I'm going to do some adjusting and work on it. Also, I have this. I never throw things away. I've had this for like 20 years. It's been sitting in, somebody gave this to me. It's a deluxe riser kit, and it just happens to fit the pads that go on this crazy old aero bar, and it's got new foam, and these don't have foam. That's going to be way more comfortable. So let me work on adjusting some things a bit, and we'll try some more. I know that I'm not going to be able to sit and force myself to ride very long on the trainer like this, but what I thought I might try to do is do some like interval style training on it, like every like ride 5 minutes in these, and then I can set up for 5 minutes, relax a little bit, and then come back down. Well guys, it actually wasn't that bad, surprisingly. In fact, I was pretty comfortable. I was actually a lot more comfortable in the aero bars than I was setting up like that on those bars. When I set up like this, it felt like the bike was way too small, and I was trying to slide my butt way back since the seat's, you know, like 3 centimeters or about 2 inches or so forward more than it should be. But on the aero bars, suddenly it felt very comfortable. And I rode 1 minute on, and I just set up and kind of spin easy, and I get back on, shift up a gear, and go hard a little bit. And I did that. And then finally I did a 5 minute section on the aero bars. At the end of the 5 minute section, I was a little sore here and here. I haven't actually rode on aero bars in a long time. It's been a long time. So the biggest annoying problem is the gear shifter is right where it bothers my hands, and my thumbs were hitting it uncomfortably right in here. So I got to work on that. But otherwise, surprisingly good. I mean, I won't know for sure until I get out onto the road and actually see if I can ride it safely and comfortably in this position. But I'm surprised I could cruise pretty good on these aero bars on Zwift. All right, mission accomplished. See you later.